So hi everyone again. I think maybe right now good noon. I know everyone is tired, maybe hungry for lunch. So let me wrap up with half of the presentation about the case studies, maybe about the startup ecosystem in Cambodia. Yeah. But first of all, thank you Daya and Assem for inviting me for this event. So just in case you don't know, Cambodia is a small country that is located in this place next to Thailand, Laos, and Vietnam. Just in case you never know. So of course, for the Cambodian market, we have a fast-growing economy with a GDP trade growth 7% since 2001 until now. I think we still keep like a steady GDP trade growth. With a young dynamic population, we got around maybe 70% of the young population who are under 35. And we also got a high internet penetration as well. In Cambodia, internet is very cheap. People spend around maybe $1 per week for using the internet. So people just like using internet everything for their daily life. Okay, so the government also defined the startup when we are going to support the startup as well. So for the government, when they tap into the startup ecosystem, they have a clear definition how they define the startup in Cambodia. So the business model with the business with the innovation models under unclear condition with higher risk with the greater potential to rapid growth. Normally they refer to the digital tax. Yes, but mostly, but actually in general it's about the innovations as a model in the business. I think it's the same with the ecosystem. When we talk about we support the startup, it's not about the startup alone. It's about the whole ecosystems between like the startup and SME and industrial, and how are the stakeholders beside this all going to support the startup ecosystem between like the consumers and suppliers, the one who create the service and product, and who gonna buy it. And at the same time, the government also trying to connect between the regional, local ecosystem to the regional and international ecosystem as well. So to walk you through a little bit, it's just like the journeys of the startup ecosystem in Cambodia, maybe something like this. So we can define startup ecosystem in Cambodia is like the youngest ecosystem if looking into our stakeholder here. Actually, before 2021, we have no ideas what is startup. Yes, people over there has no ideas what is startup. And we noticed only a little events, competitions about the business that happened before 2011, 2011. Until the small working space, small world is a co-working space that come into Cambodia, not coming, they was launched in Cambodia. They start to broad the concept of the startup ecosystem, they brought the concept of startup, yeah, the startup business. And at the same time, we can see like the first startup weekend, I think Das told me, he startup weekend to the Cambodia in the 2012, maybe that's what the one that Das brought over there. So it's just a time that startup ecosystem start to having the idea, the concept of the startup ecosystem start to have in the Cambodia. However, we recognize the significant growth in 2014 until 2019. There's a very significant growth about the startup. Yeah, so the idea of startup, the concept of startup has spread in over maybe not the whole country, but in the capital city, Phnom Penh, the capital city of Cambodia. We can see the number of startup. We can see like, startup competition, business competition, what is startup? That's the ideas that started growing. And at the time, the startup ecosystem is driven mainly by the private sectors, not by the governments, just the private sectors. And based on the report, there was over around 300 to 400 by 2019 at the time. Until the COVID hit the Cambodia, that the private sector also hit by the COVID pandemic. So we noticed like the private sector start to less involvement and engage in the startup ecosystem. And the startup ecosystem at the time also like start to lost the progress. And at the time, it's also the time the government start to tap into the startup ecosystem. Because of the COVID-19, government start to realize that technology, innovation, and digital thing is the strong pillars in order to help the government to build the sustainable economic growth in the futures. So this is where the government start to involve. Yeah. So from the government side, when we get into the startup ecosystem, I think the government has a very strong message, strong positions to the public sector, to the private sector as well. From the government, I think the Deputy Prime Minister, he told like that we don't expect any unicorns in Cambodia by 2028. Yeah, so the government don't expect to create any unicorn now until 2028. We don't expect that based on the data, based on the progress that we have right now. So what we are doing, what we are trying to involve, we try to build to orient the young talent toward the education, innovation, to understand about the entrepreneurial education. Yeah, to develop them from time to time. Maybe it's a time to push a startup, to fail faster, get up faster. Sorry. Hello. Yeah.
Maybe it's discharged. Huh?
Yes. Okay. So this is from the standpoint from the government that we are trying to support the startup ecosystems. So because why? Because our ecosystem is very empty, it's very young, and because of due to the fact of the historical something about the war, about things, so we lack of a lot of things. We are not ready in terms of infrastructures, the tech platform, business platform to support the startup. So what we are doing right now, we are trying to build the foundation for the startup first. How to have a positive infrastructure, how we can build a tech platform that support the problem solution for the startup when they build the business ideas. How we're gonna build a business platform, how we can support the startup to have like a better product market fit. This is something that we are trying to work on that in order to support the startup at the ultimate goal. So how is the startup ecosystem right now? This is a question maybe everyone might be asking. So based on the latest report by 2012, one by my organizations and one by the ADB, so the conclusion right now, the startup ecosystem is still in the nascent state, like the baby state, like early stage. However, we can see like the startup ecosystem right now, it also has a high potential and become a vibrant ecosystems. And why? One of the factors is that we have a young, dynamic populations, as I said. A lot of the city, around maybe 60 to 70% of the young population who are under 35. This is something that we are looking forward to. And another thing is just like the metrics that we have worked with the Swiss Contact and also the ecosystem in Europe. We employ the driven data approach here, just to use the available data, the number that we have from our ecosystem, from our stakeholders, and just to reflect about the positivity of the environment right now. We can see like the environment is positive in Cambodia. But in some case here is key stakeholders that have been acting in Cambodia here, from the developing partner, from the government, from supporting organization, university, and also the private sectors, the active ones, not many. And here's another one about the whole entrepreneurship ecosystem that have been working in the entrepreneurship ecosystem in Cambodia, from the government, organizations, activities, partners, associations, venture capital, and also the financial institutions as well. So look at this, that okay, if the startup ecosystem is vibrant, we can see the positive environment in Cambodia, but the question, is it really a vibrant ecosystem? We cannot answer that, because we look at another question: what the level? How many startups have been surviving? How many startups are still alive in the last 5 years? How many jobs have been created? So there's no answer to those kind of questions. We can see only the positive environments, but we don't see how we can measure that. We haven't do that yet. So challenge, yeah, because there's 4 main challenges that happen in the ecosystem. The first one is that we can see the fragmentation between stakeholders in the ecosystem in Cambodia. Yeah, that lead to the lack of collaboration to improve the support and the service delivery in the ecosystem. That lead to another one is the lack of data information sharing among the stakeholders. So everyone try to own only their information, but they are not willing to share to another ones in order to support the startup ecosystems. And last but not least, of course, we lack of the digital platform that can be a one platform that can represent the startup ecosystem as a whole in the system. So here is the thing the government start to initiate and also involve. So we can see like the government start to initiate and establish the framework, the policy to support the entrepreneurship, technology, digital transformation. Yeah, there's more, but the government start to improve. There's a lot of policy here. I think you might not understand, but just want to show you some frameworks. And from the government side, I think each ministries has been starting to establish the government support agency to support the entrepreneurship ecosystem as a whole. From Ministry of Economy, from Ministry of Innovation and Science, they have like here the government agency, and we are one of them as well. And if you are interested enough to join the startup ecosystem in Cambodia, or maybe you want to access to that, you're gonna ask like, who gonna meet? Who you going to meet? So here are the 3 active players in the startup ecosystem, mainly focusing on the startup ecosystem. We have like CADT, we have like Combined Enterprise, we got the Techo startup centers. So from the stakeholders, sometimes they're confusing why all of these 3 are supporting the startup, like overlapping the activities. But in some cases, if you look deeply, they have different roles. For CDTs, they are more like the research and education. They're producing the digital talents. Yes. So Combined Enterprise is the entrepreneurship ecosystem builder as a whole. What they are doing, they provide finance and technical assistance, co-creating innovation projects, and fostering collaboration stakeholders. What does it mean? That they don't implement the program, but they give the fund to all the ESO, all the accelerator, all the incubator, or any support organization in Cambodia who need the fund to run the program. KE can provide the funds. My organization, the Techo Startup Centers, we are the implementer. We are one of the actors to run the program support to support the startup. So we run the accelerator, we run hackathon, community events, as a whole as well. So our role is to promote the startup and digital business in Cambodia here. So here's just some highlights, like the events that Combined Enterprise have been, give the fund to support. Here's. So from my side, what I'm doing. So our framework in supporting the startup ecosystem, we have 4. 1 is startup nurturing, number 2 communities, number 3 is digital platform, and number 4 is research. What we're doing, we're running the accelerator incubation in order to support the startup. We're running the community event. I think maybe we have the frequent 1 community event a week. Yes, so for the whole year, we have around maybe over 50 events that we're running. So we keep little runnings. And we also have built the digital platform. This I will show you. And we also conduct the research. So our approach from the government that established the Techo Startup Centers, my organization, we adopt the learning by doing approach. What does it mean? It means that it's more time consuming and more more like cost effective strategies, which means that rather than the government, when they establish the Techo Startup Centers, they don't want to hire, expertise from internationals to run the supporting program alone. They need to incubate, the talent. Yeah, because government is also like, they don't know what is startup, they don't know how to run the startup as well. So what they're doing is that they establish the teams to learn along the way. So while we are doing to support the startup, we are also learning from the failures, learning from the practice, learning from the experts in order to improve our internal organizations. And number 2, we look at the ecosystem and look at what are the lacking elements that we can complement to the ecosystems by this. So we're working with other stakeholders to understand about the program. what are the available program and activity that they are doing and what they are lacking. So we're going to complement those kind of things. So in here, with what we're seeing right now, we play our organization as more in the awareness, ideations, and prototyping here, what we are supporting. And also in here, like when early startup that get into the market, accelerator program. So a lot of people are doing this already. So we're trying to complement by doing this and this, yes. In some case, actually, here are also some kind of lacking elements that happen in the ecosystem as well. But in some case, we don't have many number of startups that we need to focus on this yet. Yeah, some kind of activity that we have been doing. Okay, so get back to our practice in supporting the startup ecosystem. Our accelerator model, we conduct two models. One is the B2B and another one is the reverse innovations. For here, we just like follow the traditional accelerator programs, like starting from bootcamp, starting from recruiting the startup, getting to the program, learning, and we are focusing on the startup in the markets. It's just simple ones. However, we also conduct the reverse innovation models, which means that we work closely with the big corporations. Yeah, so we always invite the companies to pick the challenge. What are the challenges inside the companies? So when in the public, when the bank, when the big corporation, they pick their challenge, we invite the startup innovator to listen and join our programs. So they need to pick the challenge and build the service and product in order to solve the challenge from the corporation, from the bank. This is what another model that we are doing. So yeah, I think this is something, so maybe I can give the reflection later. And another thing, for the digital platform, we have been built a startup Cambodia's .gov.kh. It's a national program, to represent the startup ecosystem in Cambodia here. So what the startup Cambodia is doing, I think the same with startup Thailand, the same with the startup Singapore. This is our goal, objective, to like one platform that all the stakeholders can access to all information about the startup in Cambodia here. So we list down all the available program about the startup. We list down all the events. We list down all the stakeholders in the ecosystem, and we collect all the resource regulation in our platform here. Yeah. So for now, we create this for why. We create this because we want to Startup Cambodia to be, to create a gateway for the startup, to build the connectivity for the startup, and make it to be the exposures for the startup as well, and the resource for the startup as well. This is what we are doing this. And right now, for the current function, we can see the startup in Cambodia as the one-stop information hub. Yeah. We are trying to make it more interactive, but for now, with the number of the startup available in Cambodia here, and with the lack of collaboration among the stakeholders, we just make it just the information hub, yes. Yeah, just the information hub. But next, when we have more collaboration, action, stakeholders, we can scale it up to be more like interactive platform that people can connect investors and startup later as well. So, from what we have been doing to support the startup, here are the two key learnings that I want to reflect here. The first thing is quantity over quality, and the number one collaboration kept among stakeholders that make it very challenging for us to support the startup from the government side. The quantity over quality is what? We can see a number of programs, the number of incubators, accelerators, community events. I think the startup in Cambodia, they can access to all the programs. Sometimes we can see one startup in different programs at the same times. Yeah, this is what we see in Cambodia. So we see a lot of numbers. Yeah, even worse, we're running a lot of programs. But the question is, in 2019, the report said that we have around 300 to 400 startups. But right now, the number of startups is only around 300. Yeah. So if it's positive, why it's just like this? Yeah. So the question is here that reflects, so what we see is we can see a number, but the question, how is the quality of the programs? Yeah. How do we measure the accelerated programs? What is the impact from each program, from the community events that we have been running to support the startup? Yes. So I think it can be thing behind this, and what the Jerry has been like doing the workshop here is also one of them as well. So sometimes from the government side or maybe from the stakeholders, they look at the numbers. They don't look at the impact of the numbers. They just look at, okay, so you need to do this number of the events, you need to do this number of accelerators, you need to do this number of the incubators. Yes, they need to, you need to produce the number of startup like this, like this, like this. But there's no other thing beside that. So you can produce the quality program that really support and helpful for the startup. These questions is doubtful. And yeah, it's come to the reflection, the quantity over quality here is like the trade-off. And number two, we can see the collaboration gap among stakeholders. That is a big challenge in Cambodia here. I think it's a kind of maybe a mindset or maybe like a culture in Cambodia that people, you know, they need to own the credit, you know. When we talk about, I think in Thailand, I think when we visit Thailand, we visit DDPA, we visit NIS, what they told us is that nation first. In Singapore, no, I think in Thailand they say like, nation first. In Singapore it's like people first. But in Cambodia it's a bit like controversial. I don't want to put information here because it's just like, you know, it's just like personal view. It's more like, you know, personal interest. Yeah, it's more from stakeholders. Even from the government institution, also like private institutions, the people try to own the credits. They try to own the data. They don't want to share. They don't want to, you know, to be, everyone try to be a leading organizations in the ecosystem. So it put the challenge more be collaborative and, you know, sharing more data in order to bring the mutual interest and benefits to the whole ecosystem. That's the questions, yes. I think that's all for the two key learning. Maybe more questions that can answer. Last but not least is the way forward. I think this is something that government gonna do in the next years. So government in Cambodia is gonna take a risk next years. We got the Entrepreneurship Development Funds. So what the government gonna do is to gonna invest directly to the digital business or maybe startup, maybe to create a success story, or maybe it's something that to convince the VC. Okay, so now government start to investing. So maybe it's something that VC interested to co-investing with in the business, right? Because the problem in Cambodia right now, I think we got startup, we got a business, but VC investor a bit like reluctant to investing in those kind of business. Yeah. So right now government's thinking planning to take initiative to start investing first. Maybe it's something that attract more investors. Yeah, so that's all for my presentations. Yeah. So if you have any question regarding our practice, welcome.
Yeah, I guess following on from like the session earlier that Daria presented and some of the conversations we were having, you mentioned that you've got a level of collaboration going on with corporates.
Yes, we have a cultures.
What are corporates interested in? Like what problems are they looking to solve through those programs, or what contribution are they looking for from the startup ecosystem? Okay,
so from what we are doing, I think it might be it's based on scenario, but in our scenario, actually, our organization is not only about helping the startup. In ecosystem, what we see is we are promoting the digital business as a whole. We have created a lot of this. We have been leading organization in creating the digital platform in order to, you know, like data sharing between the private sector and the governments, like online business registrations, we call it CamDX, the data sharing platform in order to sharing. We also running the EKYC solution to support the bank, the big corporation as well. So we are leading on this. So when we are running the program, those companies, and like it's easy to them, they need to buy in our organization. They need to go along with the governments. So it is the reason that normally they invest, they sponsor our programs. They go with us. This is from the cooperation side. And from the developing partners and other ASO, I think right now our organization has been constantly to be recognized as the vocal organization in Cambodia to support the startup. One is our program, and one also because of the startup Cambodia. So their ultimate goal is also to support the startup. So they need to get along with us as well. These are the reasons. So normally when we run the program, we don't have any problem with the collaborations, the funding in order to support the program. We don't have that. But we are lacking is the talents. Yeah, the resource, the mentors, that in order to provide the right skill to the startup. Yeah.
Within the Cambodian startup ecosystem, where are some of the bright spots that you've seen? Like, what kind of startups are likely to succeed, and if so, why? And of course, which startups are also not doing well?
You mean like the sector, right?
Sector, or even like type of startup, SaaS versus like a hardware startup or services startup kind of thing.
Yes. Actually, from our point of view, what we trying to accelerate the startup, there are two. One is the fintech, because fintech in Cambodia is very booming in terms of banking. So in Cambodia right now, people don't bring cash with them. They use like QR code. They keep the money in the banks. So the banking sector in Cambodia right now is very booming. So fintech is going to be something that we're looking forward. But right now we don't expect to have like a business that capable to run it yet. But we're trying to foster the innovation from the young people from the startup. That's what we are doing. And another thing is digital business adoptions. So we are going to focus on the digital business. I mean, like the digitalization in business. How we can help SME to adopt the digital solution in order to transform their operations. So in this sector, is another thing that we are looking forward in order to. We can see like the bright side on that. So the startup who can provide the digital service in order to support the local SME in Cambodia to adopt the digital solution with the more cost effective, I think is something. Because in this year, we also launched another program, we call it Enterprise Go Digital. I think in Singapore, we call it like SME Go Digital. So it's the same thing. We try to bring all the digital solution from international and also locals, and also try to find the fund in order to incentive the SME in order to use those kind of thing. Yeah. So for the bright side, we try to encourage the startup to focus on that B2B model. Yeah.
Yeah, I have a question around initiatives from the government. As we see from this group workshop, and I also seen it in my country sometimes, for the government, the best approach is not to organize something, but maybe less disturb and like eliminate some bureaucracy, make something easier. Do you have an example when you not organizing something new, but maybe simplify something existing to give more space for startups happens?
Yes, I think this is something that happened in Cambodia as well. From the government support agencies, we also feedback to the governments. Okay, we got a lot of challenge in those kind of things, bureaucracy, patience, and so on. Actually, in 2019, when the government started to involve, the government also appoint one organization to establish the startup initiative as well. So until now, it has been like 5 years already that startup incentive regulation we don't haven't seen yet, and we have talked to the organization about because we try to keep thing, follow up, how is it going, but the problem is about internal conflict, because when we talk about startup regulations, startup incentive, it's not only about one organization that can do it. It's about like interconnection between one ministry to another ministry, to the tech department, so everything. So it's very complicated. Even one organization, they propose this kind of solution, but another department, another ministry can be say, no, how do we define startup? How about when we give the startup incentive? How about the startup, about the SME, they take advantage of this. They claim themselves as a startup, and they're gonna claim that startup incentive. How can we do that? So there's a lot of question and controversial debate about this kind of thing. So back to your question, I think it's a big challenge for the governments. For us as the government agency working on that, and about the traditional approach that government still like doing. Yeah, we're still facing this kind of challenge as well from our own. Yeah.
That's good, because it's very frustrating not to do something. You can't later report about that. I was not disturbing them. That's my great, great job. Yeah.
Even about, like I mentioned about the quantity over the quality. Sometimes we feel that. And we want to propose, we want to provide the key learning, the report to the government to understand this. But the thing is that the people who are working in governments, who are, for example, like carry the funds, they don't understand those kind of things. What they care is only KPIs. What we're trying to say is like, okay, that KPI doesn't work. We need to transform that. But those kind of, it need take time. Care about those kind of things. So we need to find another approach. So we keep the same amount of KPIs, but we need to find another approach in order to, more quality program. This is what we are challenging, and what we're trying to do as well in order to cope with that. Yeah.
We have time for one more question, I think.
Mm-hmm.
Then thank you so much.
Yes, thank you.